Say what you will about the GOAT, Lewis Hamilton. Say what you will about the GOAT, Lewis Hamilton. Run from it, hide, destiny still arrives. Lewis goddamn Hamilton. Say what you will, but this guy is the most dedicated, cleanest driver champion of all times. The man is damn near perfect in this world of Formula One drivers. Lewis Hamilton is damn near perfect. There it is, I said it. Even in the moments that others have resorted to dangerous driving, Lewis Hamilton rises above. Others like Max Verstappen, who consistently seems to drive like a moron, drive into people on purpose. And does Formula One criticize him? Nope. Does Formula One hold him accountable? No. Does the FIA hold him accountable? No. Does his team hold him accountable? No. Does anyone hold him accountable for his dangerous driving? Only one guy. Only one guy, and that's George Russell. Only one guy came out and spoke his mind, unfiltered, just spoke the absolute truth. That was George Russell. So what we saw at the Spanish GP, Max Verstappen slowing down to let George by. As George was taking the corner, Max Verstappen rapidly speeds up and drove directly into George Russell. That's disgraceful. That is disgraceful. That is disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. And what's even worse is that the governing body, the organization, the company that is Formula One, no one is holding this guy accountable for his despicable behavior that he puts on display. And every time Max Verstappen acts crazy and does something dangerous and reckless, careless, those George interview come back up. With George basically saying, listen, this guy Max Verstappen, he can't deal with adversity. He assaults Ocon. He drives into Lewis. He drives into other driver. He brake checked Lewis. Last year at the Austrian Grand Prix, Max Verstappen literally deliberately drove into Lando Norris and ruined his race. Lando actually retired from that race. Max finished around 5th, 6th, finished with a couple of points. And you know, it was ironically quick. It was super fast. It was really, really fast how they gave Max Verstappen a 10-second penalty. They were really quick to give him a 10-second penalty. Now, say what you will about George move into turn 1. George made a move into turn 1. Max Verstappen went off track. Now, if George made contact with Max Verstappen, then George is at fault for creating an incident there. But even still, was it deliberately? Probably not. Do drivers make that move consistently? Yes. Max Verstappen himself has made that move on Lewis Hamilton and other drivers multiple times, but he doesn't like it when others do it to him. It reminds me of Max Verstappen and George Russell in Baku a few years ago. George pulled a move on Max, identical to what Max does to other drivers. Max did not like it. His way of driving, he doesn't like it when other people drive like that. Imagine if other people drove into him, like actually drove their car into his car. Imagine if that actually happens. Imagine how that maniac would react. Imagine how that maniac would react. So who's going to try to justify Max Verstappen continuously and continually? Who will justify his behavior? Some people will. Some people have genuinely tried to justify his behavior. In terms of turn 1, it's like I said, if George made contact with Max and pushed him off track, then it's George's fault. But that was not a big contact. That's the sort of contact that drivers make from time to time, especially two can't go into one corner. But was it deliberate? I doubt it. I doubt that George drove, Max off track deliberately, which is something I can't say about Max because he loves to drive people off track deliberately. Why do I say deliberately? Because he does it time and time after again. The incidents that we see Max Verstappen gets himself into is uncharacteristically different from what other drivers get themselves into. Max Verstappen is known for driving into people and driving them off track, leaving them no space. George Russell, he's not known for driving like a maniac. Actually, he's not. So why would I say that move is deliberate? It probably wasn't deliberate. To make contact with Mac, it probably wasn't deliberate, but it does happen. At those speeds, closing distance, it does happen. And this is that interview I spoke about, where George Russell really spoke his mind. He really told the truth. I'm not even hearing the audio, but it's like I can hear the audio. It's incredible, I tell you. And it's like I said, you know, the fact that Max continuously gets away with this, it's completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous and it's completely disgraceful. Which is why I say Max Verstappen and guys like Lewis Hamilton are worlds apart. Lewis Hamilton is absolutely phenomenal. He's classy. He is brilliant. He's phenomenal. You never see Lewis lose his cool like that and drive into other drivers deliberately. I'm not saying that drivers don't collide, they don't have collisions. Of course they do. Every drivers have that. But a driver who drives into other drivers deliberately, that's Max Verstappen. And he does it all the time, continuously. And the reason I'm making this video is so that we set the record straight. I've said this time after time, again. George Russell is the one guy who's willing to treat Max Verstappen the same way Max treats everyone else. George is not willing to back down from Max, and this is good because he's going to be a pain in the ass. George Russell is going to be a pain in the ass for Max Verstappen for the next 5, 10, 20 years. As long as they're racing together, it's going to be Alan Prost, Ayrton Senna 2.0. It's going to be way worse than that. But you know, you remember how similarly Michael Schumacher would drive into other drivers? Yeah, that's Max Verstappen, but way worse. Way worse. And Schumacher's gotten away with it. He's absolutely gotten away with being one of the dirtiest driver of all time. We're not going to let him get away with it because that's his legacy. Driving into other drivers, taking them out the race, so Michael would win the championship inadvertently. And Max Verstappen has taken that to the next level. And today we live in a different day and age where most young people, they don't remember Michael Schumacher all that well. But we got clips. But what we are seeing now is Max Verstappen, just like Michael Schumacher, but like 2.0. And arguably, I would say he's significantly worse than Michael Schumacher. Yeah, in my opinion, he's worse than Michael Schumacher. Because one thing about Schumacher is that Schumacher drives into people to win the championship. Max Verstappen is not even driving for the championship this year. And he's willing to drive into another driver. Like George says, this guy cannot deal with adversity. The smallest bit of adversity, the smallest thing, this guy is willing to drive you. Look at what he does. He's willing to drive into you, drive you off the road. Look at that. Childish behavior on another level. Like I said, it's worse than disgraceful. It is worse than disgraceful. And this sport, he is still the poster boy for this sport. And they're unwilling to hold him accountable. They're unwilling to hold him accountable, and it will only continue to get worse. Because Max Verstappen, his only close championship was in 2021. Last year with Norris, we got to see a little bit of him going crazy. But because Norris wasn't able to push Verstappen, you didn't see full crazy Verstappen. Give it to a driver like Leclerc, give it to a driver like Russell, who are willing to push Verstappen to the absolute limit and treat Verstappen like how Verstappen treats other drivers. Max Verstappen will implode. And it's going to blow up in his goddamn face. And I can't wait to see it. Because we knew this guy was a maniac for some time. And we knew his dad was a maniac. Because a maniac raised a maniac. Honestly, it's trauma that's being passed on. Cut from the same cloth. But you see my GOAT? My GOAT doesn't resort to driving into other people. All 7 championships have been won cleanly. That's right, they can't come close to my GOAT. They cannot come close to this 40-year-old man who's still winning race. Won his last race, what was it, in Belgium last year? Won Silverstone last year, was at 39 years old. Alonso can't come close to this, brother. Can't come close. None of these guys. I don't think so. I don't think so. Look at this guy. I didn't know this guy was a Lewis Hamilton fan. I had no idea this guy was a Lewis Hamilton fan. I like it. Still we rise. This guy has gone viral for the last few years, just holding up signs, various places. I had no idea he was a Lewis fan. You know, this is the sport that robbed Lewis Hamilton to give a championship to that maniac, Max Verstappen. Yeah, this is the sport. So it's a sport that's willing to punish Lewis Hamilton, all to reward Verstappen. And when Verstappen acts like a maniac, they don't hold him accountable. They gave him a quick 10-second penalty, all to avoid any conversation around giving him a larger penalty. And only 3 penalty points on his license. Only 3. Some people say that should have been a disqualification from the race. Honestly, a disqualification from the race is not good enough. That should be a disqualification and a race ban, maybe even 3 race ban. I'm not joking. If you have a collision with other drivers, I understand. Racing incident, it's not so bad, you know? But if you deliberately drive into other drivers, that's intent. That could cause bodily harm. Who knows what else that could cause? Come on now. That is unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. He should be banned from at least 2 to 3 races, in my opinion. He should be banned from as many races as possible until he stops driving into other people and acting like a maniac. Absolute maniac. But I'm glad George Russell is in the sport because, like I tell you, George Russell is the only guy that's, Max Verstappen may think he's the baddest shit on the grid. He doesn't know George Russell well enough. George Russell is a psychopath. And I think Max have already set him off. And I'm telling you, when George has that car that's competitive enough, oh my goodness. Max Verstappen is gonna have a world of pain. I think it's gonna be physical fights in the race, driving into each other. I think it's gonna be physical fights in person, hitting each other in person. I think the Max Verstappen and Russell feud is going to explode way worse than we've ever seen anything in F1 because Russell won't back down. That brother will not back down for the Dutchman. He's English. He ain't backing down for no man. I'm telling you. And the Dutchman, he ain't backing down. But I know whose side I'm on. I'm on the Englishman's side because Verstappen is a maniac. But that's it. That's it for this video, Congratulations to Oscar. Man's doing a fantastic job. Glad to see it. What's that, like 5 wins this season? What's Norris got? Norris got about 2 wins. And Oscar is really rapid in qualifying pace this year and race pace. Although, I must admit, I still think that Norris might have the edge in race pace, but it's probably a small edge. But Oscar is showing that he has the ability to manage a race well under control and the ability to start from pole without losing it continuously. Okay, he lost it in Imola. And I think that was a well-learned lesson. When I saw Oscar in the Spanish GP, started the race from first, the way he moved off the grid, Verstappen, the rest of the grid didn't have a chance in catching him. I'm telling you, watch the restart of that race. Oscar went off the grid. He started like a bullet, while the other guys that were a little bit touched, took them some time to catch up. Oscar was gone. Very impressive, man. Very impressive. Glad to see it. This is what we'll end this video, but thank you all for watching. Subscribe to see more, leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you in our next video. Let me know what you think about Max Verstappen disgusting behavior. And are you one of those people who will not let him get away with it? Because I won't. I'm going to continue reminding people of how disgusting this sport is, and how much they're protecting this maniac, and how much they stole other people's championship, robbed other people, just to give it to that maniac. I'm telling you, we'll end this video right here, but thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.